Hi everybody. I'm going to try and get the camera straightened up a little bit. I had it closer to the machine earlier. I'm really here. But it was a little too close and I didn't want to bump it while I was trying to change threads out and stuff like that. So we are going to be hooping or stitching the butterfly 3D style mask. These are done in a 5x7 hoop in two different hoopings. The first one is going to be the butterfly itself. The part that you're going to see on the outside, and the second hooping is the actual piece that fits to your face with the elastic or the ribbons around it. So I've already got my first thread in that I'm going to use to do my outlines and my placement, my tack down stitch. I know I have heavy wash away recommended, and I still do recommend it, but I don't have enough to do this mask, and it is entirely too cold and too far to go to town to get it. So I'm using some cutaway that I have in black. I have two different My Punk Embroidery vinyls. This one is the faux lace in white, and this one is one of her winged collections. I absolutely love it. I can't decide which one I'm going to use, but whichever one I'm going to use, I'll just pick it up and use it. So right now I'm going to just load the design onto my machine. Today I'm stitching on my Brother PE800, and I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I'm certainly not a videographer. I am certainly one of the most disorganized people that I know, but I think we're going to have fun, and we're going to end up with a pretty mask when we're done. I am not a fan of pink. So the colors that I have are a light blue, a medium blue, a variegated blue and lavender, and a lavender color. I do also have a silver available. I don't know which one I'm going to use in which order. I am certainly the kind to wing it when I'm stitching something. It's whatever I think is going to look good at that minute. That's usually what I grab. So with that said, I don't really want to show you the back of my head too often, but I know I'm going to be in the way if I don't. I don't have anywhere else to put the camera at the moment. I don't really have a good setup, so you just have to bear with me and look at the back of my head sometimes. So let me flip back over here, and I'm going to get to my design and load it. Now this one is it has a lot of color stops to it, but most of them are either placement or tack down for the most part in there. I have them in separate colors, so you can, there's 8 color stops in this one, but you don't have to use 8 different colors. You can use one if you want to. I do have variegated thread here, which I'm sure that Vicki would be quite pleased if I used on the entire design, but I'm not going to. I'm only going to use it where you can actually see it and it's pretty. I may use it on the circles where the snaps are going to go. I don't know. I'll pick it up when I feel like it's going to be pretty in that step. So we're going to run our placement stitch. I do pre-cut my pieces. I'm using black felt as the back of these masks. I do pre-cut my pieces to fit inside my hoop. I do have a cutting machine, but I don't know how to use it yet. I really have to take the time to do that. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to run my placement stitch first. I do have thread tails out the back. I'm going to hold them because I don't really like it bunching up too much under there for me. But here we go. I'm trying to stay out of your way. Now, I'm going to go ahead and clip that top one out of the way. And the bottom one, I'm just going to clip just to get it out of the way. I do have a machine that cuts jumps. That's not really a jump, but I do have a machine that cuts jumps. I just don't use it. Let me see if I can get on the event and see this video. Hey Nancy, I'm already seeing the stitch out. Look at that. That is the 4x4 monocle steampunk design. I really like that. Hi Vicki. Well, I can't see the video in my own group. Let me see if I can reload my page and it'll show up. Let's see what's happening. Oh, I see Vicky's pictures. She's loading a lot of them. Here we go. There's my live. Hi, Nancy. All right, I'm just going to play the video in the background just so I can follow along. I'm going to turn the noise off so I don't have to hear it. But, there we go. Now I can actually see what's going on. Okay, so the next one is going to be the tack down. So I'm going to just snip a couple of these threads and get them out of my way. I'm going to use this same purple. And you know, some people, I've heard, I don't do it, but I've heard that some people use either black or white as their placement or tack down, depending on what contrasts with their stabilizer they're using. I don't. I use whatever's going to be color stop 1 because I don't want to change threads again. So whatever's easiest for you and whatever you prefer is fine. So I've already got my outline of my butterfly and the eyes here. I guess the eye placement really, I don't know, it's not really necessary, but if you have pre-cut pieces, it would be. So I think I'm just going to go with the winged collection from my Embroidery. So I'm going to put that in. I don't secure this. You could if you wanted to with some tape, with some temporary adhesive. Don't spray bottle your machine. With some pins if you wanted to, but I'm going to kind of hold it out of the way a little bit. I do have a slight crease in it on one side. It's been in a container with a whole bunch of other rolls. Imagine that. Please don't tell Amy. But it's been in a container with a whole bunch of other rolls, and one edge of it got kind of pressed down, not really to a sharp crease, but enough of a crease. So now I'm going to go with my color stop 2, which is going to be the tack down of the full outline itself. And I'm just going to hold it until it gets a little bit done on one side, and then I'm going to let it go. So as I'm watching the video on my laptop, which is over on the other side, it's a few seconds delayed. The tack down on this is a double stitch line, and you're probably going to be able to see that I probably should have secured it because I have a little bit of the top edge over on the other side that is not perfectly lined up. So I probably should have, but that's okay. It's still going to be pretty. Live and learn. It looks like it shifted a little bit. I do like the butterfly. What did you guys think about Sherry Ann's stitch out the other day with her dog? She really put some really thought and effort into getting those dogs involved in her photos. I think they're wonderful. Can you see my girls back here in the back of the room? This is the one that I bought. Remember, she was bald. I put a wig on her. And then one of my friends, Belinda from work, picked this one up at a place that sells Amazon returns. We have an Amazon distribution center here in Kansas City area, and Belinda shops there often. And I'm just going to have to go because I imagine there's a few things there that I've returned to Amazon. Okay, now color stop 3. Let me trim my jumps out of the way. Now let me see if I'm going to change. Color stop 3 is I don't know if I'm going to change threads yet or not. Let's see. They're going to be for the design elements themselves. Okay, so that is going to be on the inside. I will change it, and I'm going to use Vicky's favorite variegated thread. So I'm clipping my thread, pulling it through from the bottom through the needle instead of back through the top of my tension discs, because I don't want to run the risk of getting anything caught. And let's see, that has a little frayed edge on it. I haven't used this in a while, so I hope you guys can see what I'm doing instead of just seeing my arms. I'm trying to stay out of the way as much as I can. I'm not a professional with this. I don't generally do videos. I've done a few. They're on my YouTube, and I'll probably download this one and put it on YouTube unless I totally bomb it. And I hope that you're honest with me and tell me if I totally bomb it, or laugh with me. So I am going to here we go. Stop and trim that one piece. There we go. I have used either a Brother 770 or 800 for several years, so I'm used to those jump stitches and the thread tails getting in the way, so I always try and stop and trim as many of them up out of the way as I can. Excuse me. So color stops 3, 4, and 5 are the design elements. After that, which consists of the little S-shape pieces in the corners and the lines that follow the wings that go out in the blue. I don't know what colors I'm going to use there, but we'll find one. Let me get rid of that now. There we go, another jump stop. So it's going to be, let's see, I think I'll use lavender. It's a pretty color, very pretty color. And maybe I'll go against my own grain and use a little bit of pink, but I don't know if I'm going to use pink that dark or not. Let's see. Let me trim this piece up. And I don't know if you guys can hear, I've had some music playing in the background. It's a Mardi Gras or New Orleans jazz style music CD in the background. If I play it too loud, Facebook is liable to mute the entire video because they deem it copyright. So let's see what I can do. There we go. I think a lighter pink is better. So use that one. Okay, so that was color stop number 3. It's almost finished. Color stop number 4 are going to be the S's in the corner. I think that's what I'll use the pink for. Let me trim this piece out of the way. Do you guys stop and trim as you go, or do you let it stitch over your jumps and try to clean it up afterwards? I've done it both. I much prefer to do it this way. I do like that variegated thread, and I know Vicky's probably like a proud Mama Peacock over there that I'm using it. So let's see, the next one, I think I'll use this, though I do like the blue. The blue will be after that. Okay, so now we've got the 4 corner elements. Here we go. I do like my can. I don't like using this piece at the top of the machine that holds it. It doesn't hold it very well, in my opinion. So, let's see. Use our pink here. I think I'll use that blue to stitch the circles that will be around the snaps or the rivets. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe I'll go back to variegated. Who knows? again, I'm just going to hold the thread tail out of the way. I'm not pulling it, I'm just holding it. That way it doesn't get caught underneath the S-curve of this, just like it did, but now it should be easier to clip out. I'm going to go ahead and clip it out right now. There we go. Now this will go to each corner of the butterfly. I have that as a single color stop. You are more than welcome if you can stop it in time to change those colors or do whatever you want to. Okay, let that stitch a few stitches and get this out of the way. There we go. I know that most designs go from top left across to the top right, and then back to the left to the right, and then back to the left to the right. I try to do mine so that there are less stitches if your machine does runs, or that there's less space in between the elements. Let me get rid of this. This one's bothering me. I didn't stop to clip it. I'll just less bobbin thread in the way on the back side of it. So I really like that wings collection from Embroidery, and I like this lace. So I just might end up doing 2 butterfly masks. Who knows? Okay, so I know I have the lines now to do. Let's see. Color stop 5 are going to be, in the screenshot that I include, they're blue. So I don't know if I'm going to use the dark blue, the really bright one. I love this one, but I also like this one. This is a pretty pastel butterfly, so I think I'm going to use this lighter one. Most of these masks stitch out very, very quickly. I wanted to do that on purpose. There's not a lot of fill stitching. There's opportunity on a few of them to do some bits of applique, and if you are very adept at improvising and adding applique in different areas that maybe not be included in the design, then they're fairly easy to do. I've done a few. Leanne does that quite often. She did that on the mask, which is what prompted me to, I'm going to move that out of the way, which is what prompted me to add that step, because I just really liked the way it came out on this mask here, on the crown piece right here. And then this one actually is done in 2 hoops, the court gesture mask. It's done in 2 hoops, and it is like an applique style in several different places. I'm going to let it finish this side before I start trimming pieces, because it's not stitching back over itself. I know, Vicky, variegated. I do too, Nancy. I like trimming mine as it goes, because I don't want them in the way, and I don't really want them to cross over other stitches, so that when I'm trying to clean it up, I don't want to get in the way and clip something I shouldn't clip. So that's just me. This one is going to cross back over itself, so I'm going to go ahead and clip that. Okay. Out of the way, they're bothering me. Don't like thread tails. I just don't. I've gotten the needle caught in these loose threads before, and it's ripped the design or gotten it way offline, and it just doesn't, just too hard to get it back in order, if you know what I mean. Here we go. Alright, I'm going to let it finish stitching that, and then what's left to stitch are the actual circles where the rivets or the snaps are going to be, and then I'll put the backing on after this step. This is color stop 5. So you put the backing on after this, and then you run color stop 6, 7, and 8. And again, you can use one color thread throughout the design. It doesn't matter at all. Okay, but for right now, this is where I'm going to add the backing. So while I have it unhooked from the machine, I'm going to show you. I'm also going to clean up the thread that I have there. Let me see if I can get this a little bit better lighting for you. Hang on just a second. I do have a light on my camera. Clip. Oh, that's much better. Now you can actually see it a little better. So I'm going to get these jumps cleared off as well. And if you look on the back, we do have some right to left and some top to bottom. I'm going to clean up a little bit of those that are going to get in the way of things, these very, very long ones. I'm going to clip those up. So let me do that. I'm not going to do it on camera because I'll be in the way of myself. How cold is it where you guys are today? When I got up this morning, my phone said it was 0. I saw Michelle Segura's post earlier in another group. Her phone or her app actually said -0. So I don't know what that means. I don't know how much colder that is than my 0, but it's still 0. About an hour ago, it was -1 here. So it got a little bit colder as the morning went on. My wind chill tomorrow night, Sunday night, I think, is going to be about 16 to 20 below. I know that some of you live in that all year round, if you live up on the North Pole with Santa. But our meteorologist said yesterday that the average temperature at the North Pole right now is 10 degrees. So I'd welcome that at this point. That would be a somewhat of a heat wave. I have family down in Texas and Louisiana. Can't tell that by my name. They're in the 30s today, which I grew up there, lived there for, 20 plus years in the South, and that's cold for the South. It's very cold for the South. Okay, so I've gotten most of these cleared up. Let me get a couple more of these that go across the back side. There we go. So I've gotten all of the jumps cleared off the front and most of it cleaned up off the back, so we shouldn't have any problems with that. So again, I said earlier that I'm going to use just black felt. This is the heavier black felt, not like the kids craft felt. I'm just going to cover my design completely on the back, and these I will secure with a few pins, just one in each corner. But I'm pinning from the top side, and I'm pinning under the edge of the vinyl. I'm not pinning through the vinyl. I don't want it to get distorted in any way. So if you can see, I've just got the vinyl folded over, and I'm pinning to catch the felt in the corners. And I'm only going to do 4. This is not a very stitch heavy design at all, so there shouldn't be much pulling and tugging. There shouldn't be much tension other than what the hoop is providing, which is the perfect amount for the stabilizer. I float most everything. I always float vinyl. There are a few times that I have floated, or I'm sorry, that I have actually hooped some fabric, but it's only if I have a fusible interfacing stitch on the back of it. I think you can probably see at the top that double line here. It did not stitch perfectly back over itself, and I think that's because I had a wrinkle in it when I was trying to hold it out of the way. That's not the design. That's me. That was user error. So this video is a what not to do, right? So now what we're going to stitch is 6, 7, and 8, which are going to be the body of the butterfly in the middle, the yellow circles that are going to go here, and then the eye and the final butterfly outline. So some of that may be a little bit less noticeable when we're done. So for the body of the butterfly, I think that I will go with that variegated thread again. I just think that's a very pretty thread. So let me get this one out of here. I know Vicky's probably doing the happy dance to hear me say that again. It is so cold and dry outside that everything is sticking to me. I've just got a lot of static in here. I've tried to make sure that I keep some lotion on my hands so that the thread isn't so clingy to me, but it is still a little clingy. So color stock 6 now is going to be the body of the butterfly, that tall centerpiece that goes from top to bottom. Most of my designs are not photorealistic. If you believed that they were, I'm really sorry, they're not. They are abstract with a little bit of reality. Let me clip this long thread out of the way. There we go. And I'm hoping that that's okay with you. It's good with some of you, obviously, because you keep buying my stuff. So, that is a blessing, and I do appreciate it very much. This is not my job, per se. This is my passion. I love it. I have so much fun doing it. I love to create things. My mortgage-paying job is in the automotive industry. I'm a controller for a dealer group. I have 2 stores under my belt, and I work crazy amounts of hours. So, that is also a job I love and I'm passionate about. But it is not my creative passion, I guess. Let me clip this out of the way. And if you're clipping, always make sure that you lift up so that your needle is not engaged. You don't want to run the risk of bumping that and having the needle go through your fingers. There's enough risk of that always, so don't give it any extra opportunity to do so. So, we are in my Ugly Duckling construction building. When it is not North Pole frigid outside, we're going to paint here. It's too cold to paint right now. We've got some cleaning up to do. I may paint, or I may just cover it with some beadboard on the walls anyway. I like beadboard, so I don't know which one I'm going to do yet. Okay, now we have color stop 7, which are the circles. Now the circles, I'm not sure which color I want to use. Maybe I'll do those in that lavender, because I do like the lavender and I kind of want to bring it into the design. So, yep, let's do that in the lavender. Because the final outline for the eyes and the butterfly wings are going to be this purple again, which was what I used for the placement in the tack down at the very, very beginning. So it's just going to be the same color going back over itself. And if you guys have not done that, or if you never thought about it, it took me a while. But then one day it's like, oh, wait a minute. If I use the same color, then even if something is off by one little tiny, tiny stitch, it's a whole lot less noticeable than if it were an opposing color or something like that. So your placement, tack down, and final stitching use the same color. That's a trick I learned a long time ago from somebody else, certainly not from myself. Okay, get that out of the way. Yeah. So if you bought this design, or if you buy it after this video, you'll notice that there are two different versions. One of them is to stitch the two pieces of the mask together right where these circles are, or this one that we're doing, which is designed to use snaps or rivets. In this one, the snaps and rivets version, these circles are doing a satin stitch as if it were applique. That's to give it some extra strength. That's to give it some extra strength in the design. If you do the other one, where you sew the stitches together, it's actually done in the second hooping. What would be stitching right now is just a double circle as a placement, a line-up tool, I guess. But this is the one that's going to be seen on top, and you're not stitching it to the base design, so kind of want your pretty elements here, and I really love the look of a satin stitch. I just didn't want it everywhere on the butterfly. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that stitch, or that piece of thread. There we go. So it's got two circles left, and then I'm going to put this purple back on it and let it do its final stitch, and then we'll go on to the second hooping, which is the actual mask itself. I have some really pretty elastic. It's probably a lot brighter than I need it to be. I may go pick out something else real quick, so hang on a minute. I'm back. I found another piece. This is glitter elastic, and it's got the same colors as the thread and as the vinyl that I used, so I think that'll be prettier than that extra bright one, although I love that. It just really doesn't go with this design. Okay, so now it's time for the final stitch on the butterfly. Let me clean up these two little threads. And don't forget that Alexis Galloway will be on from So Sweet Monogramming. She's going to be doing another mask design of mine at 6 Eastern, which is 5 Central. If you need a time zone converter, I can post a link, or they're readily available if you just Google it. If you're in the United States, Eastern is an hour ahead of me. I'm Central, and then we have Mountain, and we have Pacific. And there are a few pockets that do not do the time change at all. I don't remember who that is exactly, but I don't know. Who is that? Who doesn't do the time change? And what time is it there? Time change confuses me. I wish they'd leave me alone in the wintertime, but that's okay. Okay, last one coming. So I'm just going to hold this out of the way for just a second. Clip. There. Now it's going to finish itself. We're going to take that one out of the hoop. And then, hey Sheila, how are you? And then we're going to do the mask itself and use this really pretty vinyl or elastic. I cut my elastic 17 inches, and the reason I did that is because I held one of my masks up to my face, and I got my elastic out, I wrapped it around the back of my head and brought it around, and where it felt comfortable and that it would not slip or fall, that's the length I used. So measure a piece out on your head. If you put it around the back of your head and bring it to your temples, and add an inch, that gives you some allowance when you're trying to stitch it. So mine came out to be 17 inches. If you were doing these for a child, you definitely want to measure their heads first. The eye placement on these are for adults. So if you're doing this for a child, you could shrink the entire design. Maybe 5 to 7 or 8%. I don't know that I would do it any more than that. It may distort some of the stitching. You can try it, feel free, but I don't know that I would go any more than that. I keep watching the video on my computer. It's delayed from the live, and all I see is my hands going back and forth. I am from the South. I talk with my hands a lot. I really do like this butterfly. And I put a sneak peek of one that I'm working on in the main group this morning, and it is a dragon mask. I had a request to do a fire-breathing dragon. That one is not the fire-breathing dragon, but I will be doing both versions. So stick around those. I know it's not Mardi Gras, but you can wear a mask all year round, right? Have fun, have fun, have fun. Okay. Hooping number 1 is done. The butterfly. I will get it taken out of the hoop. I do save my bits of stabilizer because I use them at different times. I'm going to clean up my little jump stitches, clean up the back. What I'm going to cut out is just the edging around the butterfly, and I'm going to cut out the middle of the eyes. I'm leaving everything else intact. What's going to happen at the end, these circles, once I get the other piece of the mask stitch out, I'll use these circles to line it up. Then I'll put either snaps or rivets, and in this case I have rivets. I've already shown you guys those. They come from a leather works place out of Springfield, Missouri, but they're totally available all kinds of places. These are silver, which I thought would go really nice with this vinyl for my punk embroidery. And I don't get anything from Amy, so I'm just going to say my punk embroidery as often as I want because I absolutely love her vinyl. Her customer service is impeccable. But anyway, enough advertising. I decided to use these because it goes with this particular vinyl very, very well. I did not think that gold would go with this. Gold would go with a lot of her other vinyls, but I think this one, the silver, goes with best. So stick around when we do all of that. Remember, I had pinned the felt to the stabilizer in the corners, so I need to remove my pins before I try to take it out of the hoop. I'm not an instructor, just like I'm not a videographer. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If I can answer them, I will. I'm just going to set this aside for a minute and hoop the other piece of stabilizer that I have. Okay, so for the piece that is just going to be on the bottom of this, that's going to be on your face, I am just using black felt for the front and the back of that. Again, I recommend heavy wash away just because it doesn't add extra weight, but I don't have any, so I'm using black cutaway, which is working out just fine because this is black felt that I'm using. I'm going to use this on the front and the back. I'm going to load that design onto my machine. I have them both saved on my USB. Now on this particular one, you can absolutely use the exact same thread throughout. No one's really going to see this part of the mask up close. It's certainly not going to be visible from facing forward with anyone. It will be visible if they walk to the side or if you actually take the mask off and show them under the 3D wings. So let me get to that part in my instructions. Here we go. Now this one is done a little bit different than some of my other designs because I actually do the ribbon tack down or placement and tack down before I do the mask, because the mask piece itself that touches your face is noticeably smaller than the actual butterfly, because I don't want that to be the focal point. I don't want it sticking out on the sides or anything like that. It's noticeably smaller, so I added those placement and tack down for the ribbon just so you could not have it in the way of anything else. So I'm just going to go ahead and run those. Okay. Again, my machine does not cut jumps, so I will trim that very, very long piece so it's not in the way. And it does not get caught with my needle in a minute. Okay, so if you notice on this design, your placement is outside of the mask edge. The tack down is slightly on the inside of that, so make sure that you lay your elastic that way. Now, this is the pretty side of the elastic. It's not two-sided, so you want to make sure that it's facing up. You're going to take what will be the edge toward you, this piece of the hooping here, and place your edge in about an inch over that line. Now you could use a little bit of temporary adhesive or a pen or something like that. I have Scotch tape available. Just going to hold it out of the way until I'm done with the two tack downs. And in fact, I'm going to unclip it so I can show you what I'm doing here in just a minute. Okay, I'm just going to show you really quick. So, there is my placement stitch, and I'm laying that over, lining it up on the inside. I want it to be past the inside, because if you look at the design, this is your placement on the outside of the mask. The tack down is going to be right on the inside of this. I'm just holding it out of the way with a piece of Scotch tape on this side. You're going to actually bring this around and do the same thing on the other side. Now, you do have to secure it out of the way on the edges or hold it. Otherwise, it will get caught on itself and it'll get caught in your needle. So what I'm going to actually do, now that I'm thinking of it and looking at it better, is pin it down with a pin. I'm going to pin it outside of the stitch line so it won't get caught on my needle. So if you can see that, I have it pinned. It's far outside of the stitch line. And I'm also going to be able to pin it back here in a couple of places to keep it out of the way of the needle guard. So let me get the other one done. How do you guys secure your elastic when you're doing these masks or bands or anything really that has elastic in it? Show me your secrets, or tell me your secrets. This is mine only because it's what I know. There could certainly be a much easier, better way. I just don't know what it is. So what I'm doing now, and I don't think you can see me on camera, I am just taking my elastic itself, stretching it just a little bit, because after all it is elastic. There. And I'm pinning it out of the way so that it doesn't get caught on the needle guard itself. See, these are still across the stitch line. Still across the stitch line. And I'm just going to pop it back in there and stitch those two pieces. I'm going to watch it carefully to make sure that it does not get caught on itself, though. Okay. Hold it with the tip of my scissor. There we go. Okay. Now, if you noticed, while it was moving, I pushed the stop-start button just so I could have the opportunity to make sure that my elastic is flat and out of the way before it actually starts stitching. Okay, now that one stitches a double line just to give it a little extra stability. And again, this will absolutely get stitched again when you're doing the mask itself. So I did this in the wrong order. I was only supposed to do those placements just on the stabilizer. So what I'm going to do now, because I goofed up, I really did goof up, is I'm just going to take a piece of felt in a minute. Here, let's just, since I goofed up, let's just do it all the way. I should not have put my felt on the stabilizer for color stops 1 and 2. That should have been just for the elastic itself. So the base of this mask is actually going to be 3 layers, maybe. No? Well, see what I did? I don't think you can see it, but I sure can. I think this video, just like I said earlier, is one to tell you what not to do. I think this one's going to make it to the blooper reel for sure. There we go. My elastic did get folded up and stitched over on itself. So what I'm going to do is raise my needle, and on my machine I can go back 10 or more stops, and I'm just going to go back over it. There we go. So now it's going to stitch the placement circles for the eyes. That's okay. It's just going to give the mask a little extra stability now that I'm going to have 3 layers of felt. What I should have done was trim the edge of this elastic out of the way of the eyes, but I did not. Alas, I did not. So this is definitely going on the blooper reel. You will absolutely see the mistakes that can be easily made. I'm the one that created the design. I should know what to do, but I still make mistakes. So they're easy to make. Read, reread, read again, follow along. Watch the stitch simulator if you can on either your machine or on your computer if you have the software that allows you to watch a stitch simulator. Know when you're supposed to add your backing. Know when you're supposed to know when you're supposed to take things off, trim them up, when you're supposed to marry them with the other pieces. So I've got most of my stitches, my jump stitches cleared off the back. I've just got a little bit to clear up on the front, and then we'll trim the butterfly up. So since I have goofed up, this is going to be an extra thick base of the mask, but that's okay. Let me get that out of the way. This is easier. So I'm going to clean up these jumps, because again, if you're just now joining the video, what should have happened is I should have had the placement stitch and the very first tack down on just the stabilizer. The placement stitch for the ribbon, the tack down for the ribbon, just on the stabilizer, and then add the top piece, trimming the elastic out of the way as you run your placement stitches for the eyes and outline of the mask. So you can see here that my stitches actually got, my edge of my elastic actually got caught in that eye placement. So I'm just cleaning that up just a little bit, being careful not to get my elastic snipped and letting it fray on the outside. So all I'm doing now is just adding another piece of felt across it. Nothing's going to be in its way. No one will see this. It's going to be behind the butterfly anyway. You could use olefin. You could use ripstop, which is nylon, so it might be a little warm on your face, but you could use it if you wanted to. Anything else that's non-fraying. If you want a raggy edge design, you can certainly use something that frays and then clip it with hooping shears or anything else. You're going to do one of these denim or heavy cotton or duck, actually makes really pretty frayed edge designs. Just clip it with your, let me get this out of the way. Just clip it with pinking shears, or, you know, they have scallop shears as well. A lot of those make some really pretty designs. So you're definitely learning what not to do, and that's okay. While that's finishing its eye stitching, so there, I got it all cleaned up. Got the back cleaned up. I'm going to trim it. I have a box that I keep in my sewing area that I put all of my scrap pieces of vinyl or fabric or stabilizer in. So now what I'm going to do is put the felt on the back, but I'm going to clean up some of these long jumps on the back first, just like I did on the back of the butterfly itself, just because I don't want to run the risk of snagging or fraying anything that shouldn't be. I'm just going to clean it up while I'm looking at it. I usually have a piece of Scotch tape folded over on itself that I catch my thread bits with. I don't have one with me today. I could, because I have 3 rolls of Scotch tape right here. I just didn't get prepared. As I said earlier, I stayed in town all week. So the prep work and the planning that I should have done, I did not. Though I did get this design done. This was not the mask that I was going to stitch in my video today. I was going to do either the crown or another jester, but somebody asked me if I could do a butterfly one, so I thought, you know what, why not? Here we go. Now, so I'm just going to add the piece of the felt on the back. I have a whole bunch of felt pieces cut back here because I was in the midst of making a bunch of masks. So I'm just going to cover it. And the same as I did on the other piece, I'm just going to pin it in the 4 corners. Again, lifting the edge of the front piece so as not to pull it anymore. Making sure that I cover all of the stitch lines on the back. And just pinning the corners. Okay, now this one is a little trickier because I have my elastic here, so I just need to be really careful. Hold the corner out of the way. And pin that bottom edge. Now you could pin through all of this if you wanted to. I just choose not to because I just don't want to take the chance of it pulling over on itself and being distorted a little. I already have one line of distortion on the front because I wasn't as careful. So, if you were stitching the one where you marry the mask, the butterfly itself, with stitches, then you would probably be doing that right now. Nope, there's another step after this one that you would be doing. Alright, so let's trim this one up. So, I think it was Sherry Ann that told me about these scissors. I don't have the hang of them just yet. They fit my hands quite differently than my little snips that I have for trimming. But these work very good for me so far on tight corners. Curved edging works really well. And again, you turn your piece, not your scissor. Keep your scissor level. Keep your scissor perpendicular. That way you don't end up with the edge of the vinyl cut at an angle, so you have the backing showing rather than this pretty vinyl. So as I said, there are some prizes that are available today. Some of them, and I will go back and trim some of this, some of them are going to be a mystery pack of vinyl from Amy at My Embroidery. There's going to be a class taught by Alexis Galloway of So Sweet Monogramming. That's also going to be one of the prizes. There'll be free designs from my group, and there will be gift certificates. I'll probably, those are easy to get because they're all online, and I could just email the code to you guys. So remember that this is going to be going on off and on till 11 o'clock Central Time tonight. I am not going to be live for 11 hours, so you're not going to have to listen to me that whole time. I do need to stop, breathe, eat, pee sometimes. I went ahead and decided to do that length of time because of the time zone differences with people. I just want to make sure that different people, wherever you are, because I have customers all over the world in the group. I even have testers all over the world. So I'm going to finish trimming this up, and then I will come and clean up these little pointy edges here, probably with my other snips, just because that's what I'm used to. But cleaning those up. This one is now done. I will clean that up. And then once I get them cleaned up, I'll come in and do a second video. Hey, Penny. Hey, Sherry Ann. Come in and do a second video just to show you guys what it looks like all married up together. So I appreciate you guys being in here. I really do. It's a lot of fun, and check back in a few minutes, okay? Thanks. Hey, everybody, I'm back. I've got my pieces clipped out, trimmed up, the eye holes cleared out, and I even took an awl, one of these very crazy sharp, and just poked holes right where I'm going to be merging this two pieces together with the rivets. So what I can't decide, let's see. I'm just going to use my hand tool to merge these together. If I can get them through there. What I may end up having to do, because that hole that I poked with the awl is not big enough, is actually use my crocodile, which I love to use anyway. And I'm going to use this 1/8 inch size and just cut holes through it, if I can reach them. And see, the awl is actually the perfect guide for me, because I can line it up to the center of that. can line it up to the center where I poked the hole, and it gives me perfect placement. Otherwise, if I'm trying to eyeball it, it's not perfect placement ever. I have plenty of snap tabs and hand sanitizer holders with, oh, really, really off-center holes in them. So, I'm sorry you're having to watch me do this piece, but let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to get there. There we go. Oop, I still have something in there. There we go. No wonder I couldn't see it. Okay, so I have that piece done. Now I have to do the felt piece. And remember, this is 3 layers thick, which was not intentional. It was totally by accident because I wasn't paying attention. But it is what it is. So now I've just got to poke my holes there. I do have a table press that I'm not going to be end up using because I can't find one of the die sets, which is the one I need for this project. So I'm going to be using the hand press. The table press would be much better, but again, I don't have it already. I don't have all my pieces. I'm really the most disorganized person ever. So you want to make sure that your elastic is correct and not this way. You want to make sure that your decorative pieces of elastic are facing up. So you're just going to hold your rivets in place like this. I have my little pieces all counted out. I do have them separated and counted out. This is the back tab to it. Press it in place. And then I take my hand tool, line it up. I want to make sure that you use the concave piece on the top for 2 reasons. 1, because that's where it belongs, and 2, it doesn't scratch the top of your rivet. And then press it until you feel it collapse onto itself. And that's it. So you're going to do that 3 more times. I think I got mine a little off center there. But okay. I think I would love to have a setup similar to Emerald Lagasse where he's making these dishes, and then the next thing you know, by the power and magic of television, he's got another one that's completely done, and he just pulls it out of the oven and it's perfect and beautiful. So 2 more to go, and one of my little mannequins over in the corner is going to get a new mask. I think I will one more. Oop, I did that one upside down. See, again, this is definitely the video of what not to do. You want to make sure that your concave is on the correct side of the rivet. Otherwise, it puts a divot, which is exactly what happened. So again, your concave piece goes on the decorative or the top side of your rivet. This one's definitely just going to be a showpiece of what not to do. Okay. Rivets and snaps come with different lengths of shafts. Make sure that you get the right one for the pattern that you're using. This one actually is pretty thick with this extra layer of felt on the back side. So you've got a layer of vinyl, stabilizer in the center, felt on the back. The bottom piece of the mask should have just been felt, stabilizer, felt, but it ended up felt, felt, stabilizer, felt, because I goofed up on the very first stitch run and on the second stitch run. Anyway, this is the butterfly mask. I'm going to put it on our little person over here, and we'll see what she looks like. Here we go. I've got my elastic all twisted around, and there it is. You can see from the profile of her here that the butterfly stands away from the face. Obviously her head is a little smaller than mine. I'll probably put this on later, but for right now you can see that the butterfly stands out away from the face, and the mask actually is going to hug a little bit and stay in place. But there you go, 3D butterfly mask.